Okay, back in 2011, I was working as a barista for real in London. While I was like most of the university graduate students, struggling graduate students, I was facing a really long queue of students not only asking for coffee, and then a lot of university undergrads also ask for tips in economic homework. At that time, I was doing my PhD in economics in London. My focus was in technological developments and political developments. There have been my frustration moments. Every single time I complete my article, the world changed a bit. Then I wrote my updates, the world shifted again. I was quite frustrated with the pace of the time that I was working on my update, the relevance of my content. My professor told me it was fine, but I wasn't. And soon I quit my PhD when I realized, and almost to convincing myself, that education might not be a durable good. Education could be a fast-moving consumer good. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tommie, founder of Preface. It's an upskilling company that provides fast-paced technology content to corporates, governments, and individuals for them to navigate the fast-changing world. In short, making education and FMCG fast-moving consumer goods. What is fast-moving consumer good? And I'm comparing our well-respected non-Asian content with shampoo, toothpaste, coffee, or tea. Yes, literally in a sense I do. In the world of AI, particularly recently, even if you don't sleep, it's actually pretty difficult for you to catch up with the latest update. Whatever that you learn in February, you feel like obsolete by July. So like shampoo, it looks like you have to refill that bottle every few months, don't we? A few months ago, I was visiting a bookstore. I was trying to find books that talk about ChatGPT. Ironically, I can only search books that talk about GPT 3.5. There was a version of AI that launched almost 3 years ago. And I said ironically, because the drive that drove me to the bookstore, I was trying to find reference about the latest reasoning model AI agents updates that took place a few months ago. So even models right now, if it launched 3 months ago, feel like it's already out of fashion. So this is how fast our technology world and AI has been moving. In the past, one generation of technology lasts around 10, 15 years. So that's why a publisher's or university curriculum that took 2 years to generate a piece of content, the lifetime cycle still still be relevant for another 10 years. So the education system still works. But look at the technology development right now. One generation of technology has shortened to 24 to 30 months. So which means if you go to university for the latest technology, by the time you graduate, or even before you start, the contents are obsolete, outdated, or maybe irrelevant. So sadly, the trend of technology actually has has been changing even more frequent. As a result, we cannot simply see education as a durable product. Education has to be a fast-moving consumer good. So that's why education needs a change. And we need to change the way that we generate content. First, we talk about re-engineering. So traditionally, publishers take a top-down approach. Professors work on the research, generate content that take around 2 to 3 years before it comes to a classroom or a bookstore. So that was a top-down approach. But we want to shorten such a time into 3 weeks, because this is how fast the world has been changing. In order to change it into 3 weeks, we try to re-engineer it with a data-driven bottoms-up approach. With the data-driven bottoms-up approach, we work with a 5-stage process. And that's also what I want to introduce, an engine called Preface. In the first stage, we almost every day scrape the web. We scrape social media, newspaper, publishers, and the internet. We need to know what we don't know. Or at least we need to uncover what the trend is, where the trend in technology is. Okay. Then in the next step, we'll work with YouTubers, bloggers, Instagrammers, trying to gauge if this content is solid enough for us to develop further. After getting secondary data in the first step, primary data in the second step, we go to the third step, where we call it the investor committee, but in content. That is a meeting that we also bring along our qualitative reasoning to see, are we investing in the content? Usually, that is a pretty fierce meeting. The content sales team, of course, want more content. But then the finance team will be more risk-averse. Risk-taking and risk-averse clash together to see, are we betting on the content to allocate our budget to build certain new contents. From step 1 to step 3, it takes less than a week. Once the budget is granted, we go to the 4th step. Our content portfolio manager will work like a curator, go around to the cities, finding the talents around the city to curate the first draft of the content. Sometimes we will talk to the computer scientists from the top-tier tech firms. Sometimes we may work with graduate students, university researchers from the graduate house and centers. And sometimes we pay the experts in a Michelin star restaurant dinner in order to curate the first draft of the content. After that, from step 1 to step 4, that's only 14 days. We build the world's fastest content in 14 days, which is teachable content that we can deliver to our clients. But wait, we are delivering our content to the top corporate CEO, bank CEOs, political leaders around the world, and they rely on these up-to-date content to make decisions. The entire engine still lagging one important step, which is the 5th step. We need expert validation, a validation stage. In the validation stage, a lot of the time we will register the content on a blockchain. We need endorsement. We need our experts to check our content and endorse our content, which is just like traditional books. You will find a professor, an expert to check your content, write a preface on it. Just that right now, the experts sign off their endorsement and their editable comments on a blockchain, on a smart contract. So in a system that we incentivize the content creators together with the validators to contribute their knowledge, monetize their knowledge over a royalty system. In a way, we ensure that fast and validated content will be ready in 3 weeks. So this is how we try to re-engineer the content. Okay, well, now the contents are re-engineered. We have all the relevant content. Do you think we are ready to have our mass, our population to enjoy fast and validated content yet? Remember the story that I talked about, I started when I mentioned I was working as a barista in London? Remember the students that line up for coffee and homework tips? Okay. By that time, I was actually working as an illegal black market labor in the coffee shop. I was working below minimum wage in London. Soon, the student bought me out. My hourly salary was jumped immediately from £6 all the way to £30. And then, with the surge in demand and with my limit 24 hours per day, my hourly rate went to £100 and then £150. Well, so it was pretty nice. Instead of having my students book a classroom for me in London, instead, wherever they located, most of the time, coffee shop, their dorm room, or even wine bar, I went to them. It literally developed the concept of, instead of classroom, we learners go to a classroom, we build a concept that classroom goes to you, so that you have no excuse to skip the classroom. So going back to AI, going back to technology, when was the last time you happened to be in a classroom? Not as a speaker, not as a parent, but as a learner, to learn something new. Long time. But when was the last time you happened to be in a coffee shop? If not this morning, likely yesterday. So education needs another change. And this time, it's about redesigning. We would like to redesign the notion of the classroom to be wherever you are. So first, we redesign the classroom, not confining to just 4 walls, 1 tutor, 1 instructor facing 40 students, and instead, it can be in a coffee shop around the city corner. And in the coffee shop, since 2018, I started to teach technology over a coffee shop. A coffee drinker come to our coffee shop, order a cup of Americano, we give them a piece of paper. But it's not a piece of receipts. What is that? That is a piece of lecture notes like this. Hopefully I bought it. Okay, so this is a piece of lecture notes that talk about the most up-to-date technology content that happens maybe just yesterday. A 10 to 15 minutes of learning experience. And we might not be building a coffee shop to be the most popular, most widespread, but it has to be a coffee shop that you would want to go when you meet your friend 15 minutes earlier, or you will leave 15 minutes later just to enjoy the piece of content. And if you look deeper into the real receipts, your Americano charge 0. But then your DeepSeek tech content charge $50. So in a sense, we seamlessly immerse knowledge and education into our every cups of coffee. So does it necessarily to be coffee? No. It can be a wine bar. It can be a noodle shop. It's wherever our students are located, can we bring the concept of classroom and knowledge comes to our students, so that only create a concept that there are no more excuses not to start learning. So After generating fast, relevant content, and even bringing the classroom next to you, is it enough? Sadly, not really. In the end, we built a system which is ready for you to enjoy fast content, but in the end, we need you to be present. The system still needs you. In the end, education is not just about system change. In the end, the change is you. We all aware of AI that have been coming since a few years ago. We know that AI is going to change the way that we live, we work, but then we have too many reasons not to start. I'm too busy. I don't have time. I don't know, I don't have the right background to start with. But these are not reasons. These are all excuses. So in the end, the system needs you to change so that awareness becomes an action. So this summer, we realized that AI is actually bringing huge fundamental change to the society. While every single cities around the world are catching up with AI. But this city, we're quite satisfied with talking about awareness. No, this is not the way you embrace technology and knowledge. So we have to change awareness, transform awareness into action. So we brought an impact campaign that runs this summer to encourage every one of us, 1 million people in Hong Kong, to start learning AI, start using AI, start meaningfully deploying AI. So in the end, education is not just about system change. And in the end, it's also not about AI. We have to admit and accept that the fact that whatever we are teaching you today will become obsolete, if not next year, could be in 18 months or 24 months. Education, in the end, real education is not about the hard knowledge as an end. The means is about learning and relearning. Whatever we teach you, honestly, it will become obsolete in just a few months. So education is about a process of learning and relearning and learn again. So that's what makes education a fast-moving consumer goods. In the end, all the knowledge, content are all relevant and available around the corner in the cities. So what you need to do is to roll out and start learning. Just start. Thank you very much.